This video is sponsored by Saily. For the last 2 months, we traded life on the high seas for life on land, touring around New Zealand's South Island in our camper van. During this time, we left one life on a mooring ball, but leaving a boat unattended for an extended period of time doesn't come without consequences. Well, we are waking up in the van in the parking lot for the very last time because this morning we go back to one life and I could not be more excited. Gary has no voice. We just finished with the Auckland Boat Show. But yeah, today's the day, you guys. So come along as we move from the van back on board. Our first stop is to pick up a kayak because One Life is on a mooring and there's a lot of current here and a lot of boat traffic, so we don't feel comfortable swimming back to the boat. So we're gonna pick up the kayak, head over, launch the dinghy, take the kayak back, and then move out of the van. She's out there. We just have to get out there. And we have to drag the kayak a pretty far way, but that means we don't have to row as far, so win, I guess. And it also means we're hitting the current at the right time, which is the most important thing, because the current through here just rips. So if you've missed it and you're wondering how van life in New Zealand was for us, go check out our previous video. I'll post a link to the card up above and you can check that out. If you're considering doing van life in New Zealand, do it. It's beautiful here. How's she look? Smells like home. Just smells a little musty, but not too bad. Sometimes you never really know what you'll come back to or what you'll find. So far so good, but we have to do all the checks, like run the engine and the generator and all those things to know for sure. But first glance is that she made it through okay. Battery's full. Ah, feels so good to be back.
Staying connected while traveling isn't always easy. Sure, we have a Starlink on board, but it's not portable and it can't come with us when we go ashore.
In the past, whenever we arrived in a new country, we would have to go hunting for a local SIM card or public Wi-Fi, and it was really a pain.
Now, with the Saily eSIM app, we can stay connected wherever we go. It's the most convenient way to get mobile data in over 180 countries without the hassle of SIM cards or crazy roaming fees. It's pretty simple. Download the app, select the country that you're traveling to, buy a plan, and follow the instructions to install the eSIM. If you have any issues, chat support is available 24/7, and if for some reason your phone isn't compatible with eSIMs, they'll offer a full refund.
If you are sailing, flying, traveling by van, however you decide to travel the world, Saily has you covered. To get started, just click on the link in the description below or download the Saily app, and be sure to use the Sailing One Life code in the description below for an exclusive 15% off your plan. Now back to sailing. I just want to give a quick shout out to our friend Gene from Fiddy Angler. This is his mooring, and he was watching After One Life for us. He would send us pictures of One Life swinging around on our mooring and came out to check on her. And when you're far, far away from your boat, you really appreciate those things. So Gene, thank you. I really appreciated all of the photos and things that you sent us. You and Rada are amazing. took the kayak back and then spent the rest of the day unloading the van and making multiple trips back and forth, moving aboard One Life. So yesterday we arrived back to One Life, and I'm gonna be honest, we crashed pretty early last night, and we really didn't do much but move back on the boat. But today we are gonna move the boats from the mooring here to where Gene's boat is on a dock outside his house. So we're waiting on him to pull up. We're gonna switch the moorings. He's gonna hop on our boat and then we're gonna motor back there. But it's really nice that he's allowing us to use the dock because we have a couple things we need to do. We wanna restock the boat with food, and also we need to fix or change out our windlass motor that broke. So it'll be really nice to be able to tie to a dock to get that done. And also we're still without a water maker and our water is getting quite low, so we'll be able to use the water too. So we're just waiting for him. We have to make the move at high tide because it's pretty shallow in areas, if not. So anyway, should be a fun little afternoon. And earlier we made sure our engine was running just because it hasn't been run in like something like 7 weeks, but it started right up. Gary got in the dinghy to untie all the mooring lines he had rigged to keep One Life safe while we were traveling in the van, before we slipped the final line and motored away from the mooring. Gene and Rada then pulled up on their sailboat to take back their mooring, and we used our dinghy as a ferry between boats so Gene and Rada could hop on board and direct us to the housing development where the dock is. It's gonna be awesome. Well, things have been a little bit hectic since we arrived back to One Life. At first glance, she seemed to be in really good shape, but as we started digging, we've noticed a few problems. Anytime you leave a boat, they start to feel a little neglected, and One Life is certainly letting us know that she needs some TLC right now. When we went to turn our fridge and freezer on, it started to cool down, but then it wouldn't get below like 35 degrees in the freezer. And normally our freezer gets much colder, in the single digits. So when Gary went to start looking into the compressor for the fridge, we actually noticed a bigger problem.
Am I the bigger problem?
You're the bigger problem. What did you notice?
I think we just had a charge problem. We must have had a leak in our AC, or our refrigeration unit. So the pipes that returned to the compressor were freezing up and becoming a giant ice ball, and right up to the compressor was full of ice. So I'm just working on getting the charge level correct in our system.
Oh, well, that wasn't actually the problem I was thinking we had. I mean, I know we have that problem, but we found another problem.
Yeah, there's a problem in there.
There is a problem in there.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little later today. But for now, we're just trying to regroup, make a plan, get some food on the boat, get the fridge cooled down, and get things cleaned up. Gary took advantage of the dock space to flip our dinghy over and do some much needed patching. I set off in the morning towards Auckland in the van while Gary set up his dive gear to give One Life's bottom a much needed cleaning. After almost 2 months of sitting on a mooring, the hull was in desperate need of a good scrubbing. With the cold water, Gary had to wear not only 1, but 2 wetsuits. C25. Perfect.
So you got restaurants here. This is a cool bar. We never been here often.
That's Rich, the owner of Independent Riggers at Half Moon Bay Marina in Auckland, who we would be going to see because of this problem that we found right here. But more on that later. I left the van there with Rich, so it would be there at the marina when we arrived. To get back to Whitianga, I hopped on a small plane for a quick flight back over the Coromandel, the Hauraki Gulf, and right into Whitianga. The views from above were quite the treat. So our mate Gene is here to pick me up. Him and his wife Rada have been amazing to us. I made it. In the air for like 15 minutes. Wow, so that was quite the day. Just getting back to One Life. And I know Gary's had a really busy day, so hopefully he's got a lot done. So we want to try to leave in the next couple days to get to Auckland to get to work on our rigging. But it was cool to meet with Rich. He actually dropped me off at the airport. It was super kind of him. And it seems like we're all set to get started on our rigging project. So really excited to work with Rich on this. He seems like he really knows his stuff and he's going to take good care of us. So anyway, that's it.
Back already.
Oh, I'm home.
That was a fast flight.
The flight was like 15 minutes.
Wow. Well, we did a little switch with Gene and his sailboat, and we came and took the dock here behind a house in this residential neighborhood, and it is such a nice setup. It's been so easy for us to get stuff done. We've been able to have the van right up here at the house and go to the store and get parts and get stuff fixed here at the dock. I'm just up here finishing up the windlass install. I ended up getting a brand new motor shipped in and got that installed. The old motor, we dropped it off at an electric repair shop in Auckland before we did our van trip, and they said it basically wasn't worth repairing. They said the corrosion and damage inside of the motor was beyond repair. So, had a new one shipped in. I think it actually came from Spain, but even with shipping, that was the cheapest option to get it here to New Zealand. And yeah, I just taped it off, and I'm gonna seal up this cover that goes over the motor and try to make sure that salt water doesn't get onto the motor again. The motor itself is a sealed unit, but everything I can do to keep salt water off of it will help extend its life.
The boat work and projects were coming along great, but we are always up for a break, especially when it's a friend's birthday. So we took the dinghy around the corner to a restaurant to meet up with Rada and Gene for Rada's birthday dinner, and afterward we celebrated back on the boat with drinks, music, and dessert. Happy birthday! You. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rada. Happy birthday to you.
Hooray! Yay!
It's your birthday. I'm just sitting here drinking my coffee, looking at One Life. It's a pretty big day for us. We're finally leaving Whitianga. One Life has actually been here for 2 months. She spent time on the mooring while we traveled around on the van. And then when we got back from van life, we brought her here to the stock that Jean and Rada graciously provided for us.
It turns out we've got a pretty major problem. So the fridge stopped working when we got back to the boat after our van trip. It won't cool down to freezer temps anymore. And that's not a major problem because we have the part on the way from the States. It needs a new TXV valve, which is the control valve. And I actually replaced that about 3 years ago back in Puerto Rico. And it was a similar problem then. That fixed it. So I'm pretty confident we can get that taken care of. But while I was in the area working on the fridge, I discovered something that is a much bigger problem. So on our boat, we have standing rigging that comes down to solid rod rigging down to the hull. So the chain plates aren't actually what take the load. The chain plates just connect down to these other solid bars, which are then tied down to a rigid structure on the hull. And as I was looking around working on the fridge, I discovered that one of our toggle forks had snapped off and was broken. That's not good. That type of thing breaking is what can bring down a mast. But luckily, the stay that it's on is actually one of the stays that comes down off of our staysail supports. It's like an auxiliary backstay or a fixed running backstay. So those stays are really only there to support the loads of the staysail. So we're good to sail as long as we don't use the staysail in anything crazy.
The really cool thing about us leaving here is that Rada and Jean are going to come as well. So Jean and his son Reef are going to bring out their sailboat, and Rada and Reef's girlfriends Carolina are going to bring out their fishing boat. So we're going to have a really fun couple days. We're hoping we can get out and do some fishing. And yeah, just enjoy being back on the water, and of course seeing what else is broken. Leaving the boat for that long, there's always surprises, and this will be the first time that I've sailed on One Life for a couple months. So anyway, I'm excited to get going. I'm gonna finish my coffee and get the boat ready to go. All right, you guys, thanks for coming along with us on this journey. We're so stoked for what's to come. Yeah, all right. Thanks to Sailly for sponsoring this video. Be sure to download the app or click on the link in the description below.